In this lesson, I'll give you an introduction to debugging. Debugging is a process of finding errors in your code and fixing them. Debugging is also a technique you can use to understand the flow within a program, basically how a program works. This could be because you're trying to understand someone else's programming code, or it could even be your own programming code if you haven't looked at it for some time, or that you feel there's some some bugging in it. I'll cover two techniques today. One is an old technique using print statements, printing to the screen, debug information. The other technique is using the PyCharm built-in debugger. In reality, you'll be using the PyCharm debugger going forward, but just for completeness, I'll show you this old technique. So I'll just talk you through this first program. So this program is a very simple program, and it's got quite an easy bug to spot. But in reality, imagine the program would have many more lines of code, a lot more complexity, so it wouldn't be so easy to identify the error. So the way this program works is you have a first name variable, which is a string that's assigned the value Fred. You have an age variable, which is an integer type that has a value 32 assigned to it. You have a floating variable weight, which is assigned the value 80.2. And at line 4, you have the bug, an error where age is assigned the value again and assigned the value 0. In reality, you could get these through copying and pasting, or there's different ways you can actually end up with an error in your code. But this is the error to be spotted. And then at line 5, you have a Boolean variable married, which has the value true assigned to it. At line 6, you have a person detail string variable, which is assigned the string name equals with the first name variable concatenated, appended to it. So it has the value from first name, which is Fred in this case, appended to it. The person details variable on the next line then has the addition assignment operator applied to it. What this means is the person details current value has added to it the contents on the right hand side and then reassigned back to the variable. It sounds quite complicated, but when I run the program, you'll see what's happening. So the right hand side is concatenated to the current value of the person details variable with the string age equals, and the integer variable converted to a string and concatenated to that line. This is to prevent an error message because the right hand side is of type string, so you would want to concatenate a string to it. The next line similarly uses the addition assignment operator, concatenating the weight equals string with the floating weight variable converted to a string. And then the next line similarly has the string married equals concatenated to it with the Boolean variable converted to a string and concatenated to that. And then finally, all the output is printed to the screen. So if I run this by pressing the green triangle on the top right, run menu, you can see the output. So you can see this is one long string because we're using addition assignment operator has been output as the person details variable. Now here you can see name equals Fred, output as expected. And this next part where age equals 0, that's the bug. You really wanted 32, but by accident the variable was reassigned to the value 0. So that's the bug we would need to spot. And then weight equal 80.2 has been output, which comes from this line. And then married equals true has been output, which is resulting from this addition assignment operator. So this is the bug we want to find. And although it's very obvious in this case where the bug is, like I say, imagine a much more complicated program. So the technique I would use, if I was using this old technique of printing to the screen, is as follows. I would use print statements. And when I'm using these print statements, there's two things that I really want to know is where I am in the program and the values of variables I'm interested in. So the bug relates to the age variable. So I really want to trace this variable age value throughout the program. So I'll do something like the following. I would say the age variable has a value, and then I'd concatenate its actual value at this stage. Again, I'm converting it to a string to prevent error messages. So the print statements type is all of the string type. So at this point, I'll be printing out the value of the variable, and I know exactly where in the program I'm located. I'll continue looking through the code, and here, okay, I can see the bug. I would print out this value again just to know where the variable's being changed. Like I say, in this example, it's quite trivial. You'd know what's going on, but potentially the age variable could be used in multiple lines within the code and with different statements, such as looping statements or condition statements. So that's where a bug would be more likely to occur. So again, I'd output its value, converting to a string to prevent any error messages. And then I would just run the program. So I put the debug statements in, I know where I am in the program, and then I know the value of the variables at each stage within the program. So this should give me some information to spot where the error is. So when I run the program, I can see, okay, the age variable's got the value 32 at line 3, which is good. And then I can see, okay, at line 5, that's where the bug is located. It's been incorrectly set to 0. And that's on the right-hand side here in the output, we can see the value 0. With the debug line identified by the 2 there. So from running this debug information, I know exactly where the error is, and now I know how to fix it. So if I wanted to fix it, I'd simply remove the debug statements, remove the line that's causing the error, and then if I was to run the program again, the output has now run with the correct age equals 32 being output. Now I'll cover how to use PyCharm to identify bugs. I'll put the bug back in so we can so we'll be able to spot it. I'll just run the program again just to show you we have the bug again. So yeah, age is set as equal to 0 incorrectly. So to use a debugger, you first of all will put a breakpoint into the code. You can do that by just pressing the mouse. So I click the mouse and you get a red breakpoint. What this means is when you start the debugger, this is where the debugger will stop in your program. You could, by clicking again, remove it, put it lower down in the program, such as here at line 4, in which case when you start the debugger, it would run lines 1, 2 and 3 and then stop at line 4 for you to carry on stepping through your code. But in this first example, I'll just put the, the debug breakpoint at line 1. You then select the debug option, which is in the top right corner. And this has started the debugger. And the code, the line of code where the debugger has stopped, is now at line 1 where the breakpoint is. You now have two options. You could use step over, which we'll be using in this example, or you could use step into. Step into is what you'd use if you've written your own functions and you wanted to actually step into that function. But we'll be revisiting this later on in the course. So I'll press the step over button and you can see the line, the debugger has moved on to the next line, executing the line above. Here you can see the value of the first name variable is being shown. So you can see its value is Fred. And you can also see lower down in this variable section here, it has the value Fred. Another way to see the value of the variable is to highlight it as above and then press the evaluate expression option. And this is the code that you'll be evaluating, which is the variable name. And if you press evaluate at the bottom, again you can see its value is Fred. So I'll close out on that. So now I'll step over again, we're at line 2. And you can see age variable has been given a value 32. I'll step over again. The floating variable weight has been given a value 80.2. You can see above and below. Step over again, and now we've seen the bug. Age has been set back to 0. So now, through stepping through it, we know where the error is. We can carry on stepping. We see the Boolean variable married has been set to true. Another option, if you don't want to keep on stepping through all your lines of code, you can put the cursor lower down. So I've clicked in the print statement, and then you can select run to cursor, in which case it's executed all the lines of code above. Now, if I was to click the step over option, the program's finished, and to see the output, I'd select the console option there, the console button, and there you can see the output has been printed to the screen below. So you have name equals Fred, age equals 0, the bug, and we know where that line is above, and the other variables output to the screen there with exit code 0. To flip between the console and debug option, you just you press the debugger button there, so you can flip between these if you want to see the different options. So to fix the program, we realise now where the error is. We remove this line here, age equals 0. And this time we can step through it again, just to make sure it's correct. So this time I'll put the breakpoint a little bit lower down at line 3. So I've put the breakpoint there. I'll ring the debugger again in the top right. And the code has run to the line 3, so you can see first name has been assigned the value Fred. At line 2, the age has been assigned the value 32. We can step through again. Weight has been assigned a value 80.2. Step again. And then I can put again, if I want to go to the bottom, click in the print statement with a mouse, and then select run to cursor, and then select step over, as the above lines have now been executed, and step over to run the print statement and finish a program. I click the console, and I can see the program's finished correctly with the bug removed. Age equals 32 now. If you want to reduce the size of the debug and console window, you can click on the right hand side, the hide option, and that shrinks the screen, and you're back to normal. In the next lesson, I'll cover operators.